and welcome back to my channel. So we are here with another mukbang. So this mukbang took a while to put together. I've had a morning. I was supposed to film like 2 hours ago. It's now almost 2 o'clock. I got home and realized that they had forgotten my extra biscuits. And then also I realized that I messed up and I thought I ordered a 3-piece, but I only ordered a 2-piece. It was a breast and wing, but really I wanted dark meat. So when I went back to go get the biscuits, I also got a 2-piece dark too, which resulted in me having another extra biscuit that I wasn't planning on and another thing of mashed potatoes. So now I have all this food. So let's get started. I have a pickled jalapeno from yesterday's video. I think it was yesterday's video. No, it was the video before. Some fries. I ate most of them in the car on the way home. So I don't really have that many fries left. I have not had KFC in like 4 years. But they were super nice when I went back. I was like, hi, like y'all forgot part of my order. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And so it was all good. I will say the portions are really small though, like this mac and cheese. I've only taken 2 bites and there's only like 4 bites left. So their portions are definitely smaller than what I remember. I was gonna do Popeyes, but I don't know, I just didn't feel like it. I hadn't had KFC in years, so I was like, oh, let me try this instead. It's good though. It's real good. I just want to start off this video saying I'm a little bit upset right now. Not because they messed up my order. That I don't really care. Like, people make mistakes. I don't care about that. I have a bone to pick with PetSmart. As some of y'all may know, because I've mentioned it in a few of my videos, I have a fish tank, a 60-gallon fish tank. And I wanted to add some more fish to my tank because I had about 7 or 8 fishes, but they're really tiny, and my tank is a 60-gallon, so I can fit, at least the type of fish that I have in my tank, I could fit like up to like 40 fish in my tank, and they would all be living perfectly fine. You know, they wouldn't be crowded or anything like that. Because the fish I have are really tiny, so they don't really require that much space. So I usually buy from a local fish store, which I never have issues with. I mean, occasionally when I add fish to the tank, like some will die, some won't. Which is pretty normal because some fish just don't adapt well to being put into a new tank, so that's fine. However, yesterday, because lately the past few times I've gone to get the fish I want to add, they've been out. Because I think my local fish store, the one that I go to at least, I think they're slowly like turning into more of a saltwater fish store. So they're always out of the ones I want. So I was like, you know what? I'll give PetSmart a shot. Because I used to have a goldfish tank, and those goldfish lived for like 5 or 6 years. And one of them I won at a carnival. The others I had bought from PetSmart, and they had lived for a very long time. So I was like, oh, it should be fine. But even though when I started this tank, a lot of people were like, oh, don't buy from PetSmart, you know. I was like, yeah, like buy local, you know, support local businesses. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to PetSmart this one time because they'll for sure have the fish that I want to put into my tank. So I buy them, I go home, you know, do the whole thing, acclimate them, put them in. Within a few hours, I noticed that they have that, it's called ICH, I think it's called ICH. I don't know, but it's like just like a skin sickness disease thing that can happen in fish tanks. And I didn't have it in my tank before I put in these fish. I have had that in my tank before, but it wasn't in my tank at the moment that I added those fish in yesterday. So I was like, great. I was like, I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have bought from PetSmart. This morning, I wake up and they're all kind of like, you know, on the verge. I'm like, oh God, like, I'm gonna lose a few. Thought just a few. I treat the tank. Within 20 minutes, pretty much all my fish are dead. So that's annoying because even the fish that, because I started my tank back in June, I still have fishes from that first initial fish buy that were living, and now they're all dead because of the stupid PetSmart fishes that I put into my tank. And I'm so mad at myself because really, like, I knew what I was doing. Like, I knew the risk that I was taking by buying it from PetSmart. So I'm mainly just upset at myself for being impatient and not just like trying to find another local fish store, because there are other fish stores, but they're kind of farther. They're like 10 to 15 miles away from my house, versus this other local one is only like 4 miles away from my house. So I'm upset because now there's only like 3 fish left, and this morning I had like 30 fish. So literally within 20 minutes, all those fishes just died. So I'm really upset about that. And I asked on Reddit if I could return them or like get my money back. Like, yeah, like, did you keep the fish? I was like, no, I like flushed them down the toilet. And they're like, well, without fish, they most likely won't do anything for you. Which I understand, because I'm sure there's people that take advantage of it and say like, oh, the fish died, but they didn't really, and just want their money back, you know? So, or some people reply saying that they would probably refund me, but they would probably put me on a list to not sell fishes to me anymore, which I was like, that's fine, because I don't plan on ever buying a fish from PetSmart ever again. So they can put me on that list if they want. But I get really bad anxiety when I have to like return stuff. So I usually don't ever return things. So I think I'm just gonna cut my losses and just, it sucks because I basically wasted $50. So I'm sad because now I have to start all over. So right now there's just 3 left. And they seem like they're doing fine. They don't have the sickness on them, and then I did a water change too after I got all the dead fish out. So I think all the levels are fine now. But I'm just upset because I wasted time and money. Next thing I'm upset about is this case we're about to talk about. So this is the case about Martin Tankleff. That's how you say it. We're just gonna call him Marty because that's his nickname. So Marty. This happened in New York, September 7th, 1988. So at this point, Martin is 17 years old. He wakes up in the morning. I guess he goes to see like what his parents are doing. He comes across a really, really gruesome scene. Both his mom and his dad are stabbed and bludgeoned to death. His mom is pretty much dang near decapitated. Her head is like just barely hanging on. He freaks out. His dad is alive, but not really like responding, like he's unconscious, but he is alive. So he freaks out and he calls 911. Now, the cops show up, and if I found one of my loved ones bloody on the floor, I most likely would have probably done the same thing he did, which is he like held them and was like trying to wake them up. So when the cops arrived, Marty had his parents' blood all on his hands. The second the cops get there, Marty is like, please help me, please help my parents. Also, too, though, I can tell you who did this, I'm sure it's my dad's partner. Because his dad actually owned a big old business. And from what I think, it was pretty successful. But he goes, my dad's business partner in the bagel business owes my dad over he owes him $500,000. And my dad tried to collect the debts recently, and in return his friend, his business partner, threatened him so that he would hurt him and his family, and then also that the business partner was at their house last night and was the last one to see his parents. So I guess, I don't know if Marty fell asleep or if he's a heavy sleeper or how it exactly unfolded. So the cops are like, interesting, thank you for the information. We're going to take you into questioning. So they take Marty into questioning. It's not just questioning really, it's deep interrogation. I think he was interrogated for hours. And he's like, I told y'all, I don't know, what happened, I had nothing to do with this, I would never do this to my parents, I don't know what you're talking about, I didn't do this. Yes you did. You definitely did it. Now the detective at the time that was in charge of this, he decides that he's gonna fake a phone call. So he goes on his phone, hello? Oh, is this the dad? So the mom's name was Arlene and the dad's name was Seymour, I don't know how you say it. And he goes, that was your dad, he just came out of his coma. And he said that you were the one who did this and that you were the one who killed them. Or tried to kill him and killed the wife. Okay, his mom. And Marty's like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know, if my dad said that I did it, I guess maybe I did do it. Maybe I blacked out and I just don't remember. I don't know, I feel like I didn't do it, but maybe I did. And the detective goes, you know what? To make this official, we're gonna have to write a statement. A confession. And I read the confession too, I was like, dang, they really trumped him. Poor guy. So the detective was like, let me write it out for you. So the detective wrote out the confession for Marty in the detective's own words. And when you're a kid that age too, and even Marty admits it later on in interviews, he goes, my parents raised me to always trust the police and to always respect adults and elders. So that's what I did. I trusted the police and believed them, and that's where I went wrong. So basically in the confession letter, it's just saying I, Marty, give up my rights. I give up my rights to an attorney or a lawyer. Okay. I understand everything I can and say will be used in front, the whole right. And then the detective went and wrote a whole confession. And the confession basically says that I guess Marty wanted to go somewhere or do something, and they said that he couldn't, and so he got mad at his parents, and that I guess his mom or his dad was backing each other up. So then he decided that night that he was going to kill them, and that was the only thing he could do to make things better. So Marty signs this confession. The second he signs it, he's like, wait, no. Like, I guess it like clicked in him, like, this isn't right. Like, I know I did not do this. Like, why am I signing this paper saying that I killed my parents when I did not kill my parents? Like, I love my parents. So he instantly recants and unsigns the paper. Trial happens. Now, you might be thinking, well, they probably had evidence, right? Like, I mean, there has to be evidence for them to be putting away a 17-year-old child for killing his two parents, right? No. There was no evidence, and any evidence that they did collect, nothing tied the son to the murder. The only thing that tied Marty to the murder of his parents was his confession that he instantly recanted and unsigned, but they still used it in his trial as just their solid evidence. That was the only thing they had against him. Isn't that insane? So now, at the time too, keep in mind, I think it's Syracuse. The Syracuse department, I believe, they were under fire for being extremely corrupt, and one of the things that they were corrupt for was coercion, which is like basically like what they did to him. They hold you in interrogation for a very, very long time, break you down mentally and physically, really, and then they like coerce a false confession out of you just so that they can instantly close cases. Keep in mind too, remember how I told you about his associate, his business partner that owed him $500,000? The son is like, I'm telling you, like, go ask him. Cops never looked into him. It is not known until years later that the business partner actually disappeared a week after they were killed, faked his death, and moved to California. That's not guilty at all. That's not guilty at all. No. It was not Syracuse County, it was Suffolk County, however you say that. So scratch the Syracuse County. I don't know even where Syracuse is. I know it's north, right? Marty is charged with the two murders of both of his parents. By this time too, his dad had passed away, because like I said, his dad was alive but unconscious. His dad ended up passing away a week or so later after the murders, or like after the attacks. This case is so crazy. So he was sentenced to 225 to life, with possibility of parole after those 40 years for the murders, with no physical evidence. Like I said, the only evidence they had was him doing that written confession and then recanting it after. So Marty starts teaching himself stuff in prison. So one of the things he starts doing is kind of just learning about the laws. What can be done? What can he do to get himself out of here? Because he's like, I did not do this. Like, I can already tell you who did this, but no one's listening to me. And at first, when I first read this, I was like, But then, before I was already, after starting reading some of the story, I was like, okay, he really is innocent. One of the things that really made me realize that he was innocent, though, was because he eventually got the brothers and sisters of both his mom and his dad, so people who were murdered, they were on his team trying to get him out. He had a group of at least 24 relatives and friends and like lawyers and whatnot working day by day to get him out and to prove his innocence. So that really kind of convinced me, because it's like, even if the brothers and sisters of the people who were murdered are saying you have the wrong person, obviously they have the wrong person, you know. But at the time, the New York State Police Department, they were very corrupt. I mean, I'm sure they probably still are corrupt, but back then it was extremely corrupt. Like, even to the detective, they found this out, because they even ended up hiring a private investigator, because they were like, we need all the help that we can get. So this private investigator actually found out that the detective that wrote this confession for him and did the whole interrogation, he's actually perjured himself in other murder cases, which I guess means that he's like coerced people into giving false confessions and wrote their confessions for them too. So this detective is obviously, he knows what he's doing. He knows that he's manipulating people into saying what they don't want to say, but they're just like, it's like you just get broken down so much, you're like, fine, like, yeah, I did it, whatever, you know, just because you want them to shut up. And it's not even if you are guilty, or you can be 100%, like 110% innocent, but just the way that they interrogate you and break you down, you're just like, yeah, I ran the guy over with my car, like, can you let me, like, leave this room now? So they knew what they were doing to this poor kid. So, yeah, the PI finds that out about this detective. 2001, he also convinced this retired investigator to look into his case too. And also him too was like, wow, this case is crazy. They also went around and interviewed other people that were like witnesses and whatnot, and just like around his parents at the time of death, and like knew like what was going on in their lives. Pretty much all of them were like, yeah, his business partner definitely did it. Like, no doubt about it. Like, he threatened them. Like, they've had the threats, like, not recorded, but people are like, oh, I remember him threatening them, you know, that he was gonna kill the whole family and kill them and whatnot for owing this money and them trying to collect their debt. Turns out, too, I think this was probably mainly part of why they weren't getting along, too. Turns out, the business partner, I don't know if he was too, but he probably was most likely, but his son was selling cocaine out of the bagel shop. And I'm sure Marty's dad was not happy about that when he found that out. So I think there was just a lot of like built up anger happening towards everyone, like, you know, towards each other. So in 2001, he asked for a retrial and asked that they, you know, look at this new evidence I found, you know. And you would think it was good evidence. I thought it was good evidence. I was like, wow. Very compelling. The court, they deny him again. 2006, he tries again, and they're like, yeah, that's real cute, but no. 2007 rolls around, and by this time, I think they had like a whole new, like, they finally started kind of flipping the corruption, and there were new people coming in. He appeals again. This time, he gets so lucky because, like I said, there's newer people in there and people that will actually listen to him and listen to the case and listen to what he has to say, really. And they realize this is ridiculous and that he should not be in jail right now. He should not have been serving. So far, he had been in prison for 17 years. So he didn't even get to experience his younger life. He didn't get to go to college. He didn't get to graduate high school. Because like I said, the day of his parents' murders was his first day of senior high school. So he didn't even get to experience anything. So he was really robbed of his whole like life in a way, like his younger part of his life. And so he gets really lucky, and the DA decided to overturn his case and grant him like, I guess clemency would be the word, I don't know. But they cleared his record, so it's no longer on his record anymore. And then once he got out, he actually filed a lawsuit against the state of New York, I believe, or like the city like police department or something like that. He ended up getting a $3.4 million settlement for basically just being locked up for all these years and being blamed for not only just a murder, but his parents' murders. Like, could you imagine like just sitting in there like, wow, like not only did you lose both of your parents at the same time, but now you're in jail being punished for it, even though you had nothing to do with it. And you know exactly who had something to do with it, but they're just out living their life in California. Like, what? And also too, it was really cool because like I said, he was studying a lot, like his case and just like the laws and whatnot when he was in prison. He actually just recently, a few years ago, passed his bar exam. So he is now a legal lawyer. And I want to say, because I couldn't really tell, but I want to say from reading it, I'm pretty sure he helps in cases like these now, which is pretty cool. And then he ended up actually a few years ago too, actually getting another settlement that he filed. I think this time it was like against the DA or like someone else, and he ended up getting $10 million out of that settlement. So yeah, that is the case of Marty. And it's crazy though because it's good that he was able to get out and started his life and now is like thriving with life, but to my knowledge from all the articles I've read, the business partner who owed him money still has not been questioned to this day. Even to one of the son's friends came out, because remember how it said the son was selling cocaine out of the bagel shop? Well, the son was said to have been going around bragging that he helped in the murders of those parents. And then one of his friends even like testified like, yeah, I was the getaway driver that night and Marty had nothing to do with it. So to my knowledge, no one else has been punished for this crime yet, which sucks because his parents deserve justice. And I mean, Marty has kind of gotten justice in a way, so that's good. But yeah, I thought that was a really crazy case. Just imagine being that young and just being thrown into things like that and being like, you know, and then I saw some photos too of like him in court and they were titled like emotionless, numb Marty sitting while listening to his sentence. And it's like, before I even read the article, I was looking at the photos and stuff, and I was like, dang, like he's a psychopath. But now that I realized, and now that I actually read the case, I realized that he was emotionally numb because it was like, he already tried to like clear his name and show them that he wasn't the one who did this, but they still like put him in there. So it's like, I would be emotionally numb too after that. I would just be like, whatever, lock me up. Like, okay, like there's no one that's gonna help me, and like no one cares about what happens to me. So, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.